Oh, hey there, bud. How's it going? Oh, this? Well, you see, I've just been playing a little game called Pacific Drive lately. And man, is that game a trip. A road trip! Yeah, no, seriously though. This game is literally made for me, specifically, and no one else. The only thing I'm obsessed with that this game doesn't have is dragons. And you guys better be glad it doesn't. Because if it did, I don't even know what I'd do. I'd die. I'd literally die. That's what would happen. It just has such a cool atmosphere. The driving feels so good and ties in so well with the whole rest of the narrative. It just really does feel like such a cohesive experience that melts together in this absolutely delightful soup of a game. So, let's chat about it. So, the premise of the game is that one day you're out for a nice Sunday drive with a lame-o normie car, and all of a sudden you get zapped into a place called the Olympic Exclusion Zone. It's a giant national park type beat that a government agency called ARDA walled off pretty dang thoroughly a long time ago before jumping ship entirely and evacuating the zone. And as a little side tangent quick, I just think it's funny how all you have to hear is the zone and you already pretty much know exactly what you're dealing with. It's not exactly what I want to go too in-depth into today, but I just think it's funny that I could have said you get trapped in the zone and you would have been immediately up to speed. Like, ah yes, the zone, got it. So anyway, your Honda Civic gets exploded into a million pieces, and you stumble around aimlessly before you see the siren song of safety ahead. Flashing headlights, beckoning you forth. This is where you find Melik, your guardian and transportation, as well as your sole companion. And from her radio, you hear the voice of a man named Tobias, trying to figure out why he's getting some funky readings on his, science machine, or whatever. As it turns out, Melik is something known as a remnant, which is crazy or something. Listen, alright, I'm not gonna do any spoilers or get too into it yet, okay? Or just for later, alright? Basically, he leads you to the safety of the garage, where the game opens up and your journey begins. Yours and Melik's. I'll talk a little more about the story later, because quite frankly, it's one of my favorite aspects of the game, but it's also kind of something I just really want you to go experience for yourself, you know? I'm gonna spend the next minutes absolutely slathering this entire game in my saliva, drooling all over it and whispering sweet nothings into its ear. So like, just play it, dude. Seriously, it's awesome. But I also really want to talk about it. So like, okay, listen, stick around for like a little bit, then go play it. All right? Cool? Cool. So yeah, from here you get to go out and explore the zone, where the first half of the normal gameplay loop takes place. Melik protects you from the dangers of the zone and allows you to go out and scavenge for materials to survive and supposedly eventually escape. You can then use these materials to craft upgrades to help you better survive the zone, and there really is a lot of variety with what you can make, which I really like. This makes up the second half of the primary gameplay loop, the crafty mechanic stuff. But more on that later though, alright? The moment-to-moment experience of the game is really immersive and honestly just plain old fun. Driving feels absolutely delightful, and small things like how the headlights cut through the fog and dark and how the handling feels and other little details really add up to just a super unique vibe to the whole thing. But the zone has its dangers, beautiful as it can be. The anomalies you'll find here are plenty threatening, of course, and ramp up in spookiness nicely throughout the game. And yet, it's all balanced really nicely so that it never feels totally overwhelming. It's a nearly perfect blend of tension and not actually being terribly difficult, while still feeling like it is. The durability mechanic on your car parts feels nice, and adds a lot to the overall experience, forcing you to be able to improvise on the fly in possibly really stressful situations. Getting a flat tire or shorted spark plug can be deadly in some scenarios, while others it can be pretty much ignored, really. Quirks are another fun mechanic that really adds to this in my opinion, though I could definitely see if you felt this part was just more annoying than anything. Sometimes, when out exploring, Melik will start to act a bit silly. These odd behaviors are called quirks, with many never being noticed or even being benign, while others are completely catastrophic, like your doors falling off when you turn on the headlights, which, as you can imagine, happens a lot. You need to correctly deduce what precisely is happening and under what conditions. Then, you can fill the info into one of the machines at the garage, and finally cure it. This is usually a good idea, but for me one time, Melik developed a quirk where when you turned the headlights off, the trunk door closed. And you know what? I straight up just left it, because that's actually kind of super helpful. Like, imagine you leave the trunk open, and you go to drive off. Then you look and, oh, whoopsie daisy, trunk's open. You know what you don't gotta do? Go all the way around to the back of the car and close it by hand like a pleb. Nah, you just gotta pop the headlights on and off real quick and bam, away you go. And like, am I crazy for thinking that's just kind of awesome? That these quirks are just that, quirks. They aren't inherently negative, just, I mean, well, they usually are, but still. Honestly, this feels to me like how the zone is overall. But again, we'll get to that later. The next big thing I really honestly couldn't wait to talk about is how the whole game lives and breathes by its resource management. And I'm not just talking about materials here either. No, resource management as a concept is the very lifeblood of the gaming experience presented here. And the way the game plays around with that is just, God, I just love it so much. Like, here, to get around the zone, you need gas. Obviously, you're driving a car. Now, usually you'll find plenty around the zone, siphoning from cars and finding fuel barrels conveniently laying around. Thanks, Arda. But you'll also want to make sure your battery stays charged up, because it powers not just your headlights, but also several different modules and things you'll get later on. This is a bit trickier, as the only reliable way to get battery charge early on is with a craftable consumable that's, frankly, freakishly expensive for an early run. But this early on, you probably won't even need the extra charge. And later on, you can get modules that charge it pretty reliably. Eventually, I got to a place where I could keep up with everything pretty well. Then, I discovered the amp engine, which makes the whole car run on battery instead of gas. This blew my frickin' mind and changed literally everything for me. Now, if I used the amp engine, gas was quite literally useless to me, and the battery power was absolutely crucial. The problem was, I was pretty well geared up for gas capacity at the time, and didn't have a crazy amount of battery power. So, I revamped my entire car to make as much battery power as possible and crammed in as many hydro generators as I could possibly strap to the thing. Problem was, all the duct tape in the world and then some couldn't strap enough hydro generators to the car to make them useful when it doesn't rain. And it didn't. Ever. I have never in my entire life had a run without a single drop of rain until this one, and never since. So, yeah, I ran out of power and got stuck basically the exact second my tires hit the pavement. Which was, you know, fun, but yeah, fail. Not gonna lie, I kinda scrapped the idea for a while. Until, that is, I discovered a module called the Anchor Energy Converter. This was a game changer. Anchors are the things you find out in the zone that you can nab in order to get enough of a resource called limb energy in order to make a portal home and end the run. This, in and of itself, is another resource you need to make sure you have enough of in order to make it home. Usually, this is super easy. I mean, these freaking things are strewn about everywhere. I keep them as Christmas ornaments, snow globes, paperweights, whatever, they're around. But with the Anchor Energy Converter, you can use them to fill up your battery instead. This changed my entire life. Now, I didn't even need all those hydro generators. I scrapped a lot, kept like one as a backup. But now, I had to really watch how much limb energy I had versus how much battery life I had. This time, it rained, so it turned out fine. And with the help of the Anchor Energy Converter, I was balling around the zone like eco-friendly hell on wheels. Even with all this crazy vim and zip I had with the new engine, I still had to be careful not to bum around too long, because after a certain amount of time, the wall of instability starts to close in. You know, Fortnite? It's like that, basically. Stick around too long, and before you know it, heavy radiation is nipping at your heels, wearing down your car parts, and eating away at your health. So, you gotta get out of Dodge. But do you have enough fuel? Or battery? Do your car parts have enough durability to make it out alive? And how much are you going to have to spend in order to repair them? Can you even repair them with what you have? What if a tire goes flat, or a door cracks, or heavens forfend, your motor gets busted? All of this and so much more goes into making the entire trip such an intense journey, and all of it flows from the game's utter mastery of resource management, whether the resource be fuel, or time, or scrap, or whatever else. But, all that said, don't let me make it sound like the whole thing is a harrowing, terrible experience from start to end. You get quite a lot of control over just how intense the trip is, being able to decide for yourself if you need to go to or through a particularly unstable area for whatever reason. Whether it be for the loot, or the story quest, or just the quickest road, you get to decide what's worth it and when. Even this is, in and of itself, a kind of resource management, just a bit more of an abstract kind. I prattled on there for a bit, but this really did happen to me, and when I was desperately scrounging around for another anchor, it hit me just how much I frickin' adore this whole sordid affair. And, through it all, the zone really is gorgeous. The maps and different terrain are all really fun and interesting, and the extremely varied locales are a blast to navigate. Each area has their own environmental hazards that add a lot to the experience and require you to be able to plan for what you'll find in the zone, while also being able to wing it when things go tits up. Which, you know, see above, it happens a lot. As I mentioned before, a lot of the anomalies are dangerous, but they're all extremely varied and universally fun. Their designs are all great and fit perfectly into the world around them, and so many of them have super interesting effects. Honestly, I think the tourists are my favorites. They just have such a fun design and feel so perfectly at home in the zone. They're also some of the most ominous, and even though they aren't terribly dangerous, they're still just a lot of fun. Seeing them pop up right behind you is always just a special treat for me. They also tie nicely into the lore, which I personally find super interesting. I love how the zone takes things we made and perverts it into something deadly and weaponizes it against us. It feels like such a human thing, and to me, it gives the zone a fun little bit of personality. Not all anomalies are dangerous though, and some are actually really useful or even cute. The friendly dumpster, for instance, is a particularly useful ally, especially when you find them out in the wild. Psst, pro tip, they love junk food. Sometimes you can even find friendly bunnies that will repair or charge up Melik. In the end, all of them feel perfectly at home in the zone and really add to the overall atmosphere here. And I just love how dark it gets at night. A good source of light, or several, is essential in the zone, which even just by itself adds to and reinforces everything I said earlier about resource management. The decrepit buildings and wooded areas really sell the ambiance and make for a terrific playground for the game to take place in. Driving out at night, all alone if not for dear Melik, keeping watch for anomalies and that one resource chunk you need to craft a better hood, it's such a magical experience that you really can't get anywhere else. And on that note, speaking of notes, the music in this game is truly something phenomenal. To be entirely honest here, I was originally just gonna kind of dismiss the OST and talk about the licensed music, which I'm still gonna do, but oh my god, what the hell was I boofing when I thought the OST was mid? I must have been huffing straight high fructose stupid juice when I was thinking about this or something, and I am so glad I decided to double back here. The OST, composed by Wilbert Roger II, is absolutely god tier. To the point that when I went back and listened to the track Instability on my own, it was giving me a frickin' panic attack, and I love that. And it's no frickin' wonder either. Ever heard of the guy? I hadn't, but I'm almost certain you've heard his work. The guy seems like a bit of a video game music legend, to be entirely honest with you. I mean, just, look! Apparently, he's a hero, and his work on Pacific Drive is just spectacular, seriously. Obviously, it's not like I know him personally or anything, but his track record is just incredibly impressive, and I honestly recommend giving him a Google, just for fun. Anyway, put this all in context that I wasn't even going to talk about the OST, in favor of talking about the licensed music they added to the radio instead. That's how good it is. Ugh, I haven't even talked about the radio yet, and I have no idea how, because it's just so cool, man. What a genius idea to have a radio in your car and garage that plays actual good music that fits the atmosphere so well. I genuinely made a whole new playlist on my music app just for songs that play on this game's radio, and I actually listen to it, like, a lot. I absolutely adore Free as the Birds by the Rune Brothers. I mean, every time it comes on, I sing along, and even the songs I don't care for as much still fit the game's vibe so well, and just add another layer of cohesion to the whole experience. The radio does have another functionality though, which is to be your one and only connection to your fellow humanity. You aren't the only one in the whole zone after all, and even though you are alone, mostly, there are other people out there doing their best to help you out, or even just trying to live their own lives. When you have the radio on, sometimes a transmission or broadcast will come through. Sometimes it's an in-universe advertisement for nightmare-inducing toothpaste, that's a real one by the way, and sometimes it's a couple of dudes playing D&D. These little intermissions are honestly one of my biggest guilty pleasures in the game, to the point to where they might be one of my favorite aspects. There was even one that, and I'm not exaggerating here, left me nearly crying with laughter. It was just so funny, it caught me so off guard. Oh man, yeah, that was awesome. On the flip side though, there are a few people you meet, as it were, that try to help you out in the zone and aid you in your ultimate goal of not being dead. To this end, we interact with Oppie, an old, jaded ex-Arda researcher who was a bit of a big deal by the sounds of it, and hers is the garage you inherit. Then there's Francis and Tobias, two really good friends who do their best to help you out as well, even if they often butt heads with Oppie for reasons you'll have to discover for yourself. The story of Pacific Drive is kinda really good, actually, which, I'm not gonna lie, kinda surprised me. And one of the biggest contributors to that are the three characters you meet along the way. Their dynamics are actually really fun, at least to me, and the writing is shockingly good. I'm not too ashamed to admit that some of the plot points near the end actually got to me a lot, and I won't say I cried, but I definitely heard the siren song of chopped onions that day. It's just really good, and a great motivator / excuse to get you to go deeper and deeper into the zone, as if you really needed the extra reason. Said reason is a pretty compelling one, though. The idea that if you don't find the very core of the Olympic exclusion zone, you'll fall to the very same obsession that has claimed many before you. See, Abi explains that Melik is something known as a remnant, which is a special object or thing influenced by the zone that connects itself to the psyche of a host, and slowly drives them, pun intended, to become obsessed, until one day they run off into the woods, never to be seen again. But here's the thing. What none of them realize is that it isn't obsession at all, but love. The bond me and Melik share is one formed from mutual trust, respect, and admiration. Our lives were hollow until we met each other, and through time, we've just come to really appreciate one another and what the other brings to the table. She had no driver, no one to come and show the world and make memories with her, and even setting aside how much she protects me here and all that she's done for me, I had never known what it was like to have such a deep, intrinsic bond before. She protects me even when I lead her into danger, trusts me even when I ram her into a tree, takes me where we want to go even when she and I are barely limping along. And, in turn, I love her and try to take care of her. I repair her to new or better whenever she's hurt, upgrade her with new parts and capabilities, show her new experiences, and dress her up in cute stickers. She loves stickers, and I love stickers. Gosh, we really do just compliment each other so well. Don't we, Melik? Yeah, we do. I mean, just look at this cute little cryptid we've got on the dash, and this cute little shifter, and this giant tracking light with the full power of the sun at its beck and call. Do you really think that this is just technology at play? Do you really think that limb technology can do this? No. No, my friend. That's Melik keeping her luminescent gaze on me, watching my back while I work. Because she loves me. This is not a programmed feature. This is love. She loves me. I love her. And you know what? Actually, speaking of the light, we kind of do need to go get for a few more Olympium chunks to make that new reinforced headlight she's been wanting. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you, Melik? Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? All right, listen, bud. It was awesome to catch up and everything, but me and Melik gotta go try and scrounge up a magnetic hammer real quick. Listen, we'll be back before you know it, and feel free to help yourself to whatever's in the fridge while we're gone, or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, love you, bud. See ya!